Yeah, sadly, Fight Fan, you're talking about one of the reasons MMA has overtaken boxing so easily is, it's a guy who's got a really big name against a guy who nobody knows often. And that's the problem. To get two guys that everybody knows in boxing in the ring together is a rare event, right? Promoters have to cooperate and everything else. And it's just the landscape of the way boxing was constructed. There was a lot of corruption in it, so they came in and tried to regulate it, and they never got it right. Like Don King would put his own son as the manager, and it was commonly known, now I'm sure unfairly, but that Don King's son was an idiot, and King manipulated everything. Canelo versus Skull, again, it's not just promoters, right? It's sanctioning bodies that again have a influence, profound influence on the sport, right? Like Skull, I think it is the Cuban, right? Like he's the number one contender. Canelo doesn't want to face him, so they strip. And the IBF is one of the main strippers now of belts. And why is that? They follow the bylaws because they had one of the biggest con men in history running it before, Bob Lee, right? Like, it's funny, when they sent Bob Lee to prison, they were actually investigating Don King, and that guy was too slick, man. He never went back after that murder or that other running numbers case. Like, they weren't getting him. He did white-collar stuff all the time, but it's not really what they wanted out of King, and he was the perfect con man for boxing at the time. But listen, the bottom line is tonight's about Canelo. And I'm reminded of like when we all watched Robert the Ghost Guerrero versus Mayweather, right? Like I knew who Ghost Guerrero was because I was into boxing for a long time. I remembered when he was, like a featherweight champ or something, or junior featherweight for what I remember. From Gilroy, I was in San Francisco at the time, so for me that was cool. Like, oh, Guerrero's fighting, but the reality is most of the people in the world didn't know who Guerrero is any more than we knew who Skull is right now. And there was a time in boxing where I could name everybody in the WBC top 30. I mean, not name them, like list them off rank by rank, but I knew who they were and I knew where they're from and all that. But times are just different now. You learn about the sport more and more, and then you realize how useless that was to know everybody's name like that. And what difference did it make? UFC, if they got a big advantage, they're throwing like Sanhagen Figueiredo tomorrow, and it's going to be a great one, right? It's a perfect fight to compete with Canelo because people know it's just a Canelo fight, and they're not getting anything else out of it. It's not Canelo Benavidez, which would be really thrilling. But the monetary side of boxing doesn't make Canelo Benavidez worth the risk when Canelo could fight Skull for similar, not the same, but similar amounts of money. And that's why boxing failed in the end, and that's just the way of life. So, yeah, hopefully the Sheik straightens a lot of this out. He already has with a lot of the matches he made. Hopefully Canelo gets through. This guy gets through Crawford and then has Benavidez at the end of the rainbow. Everybody, read my book, Warrior of the Light.